What's up guys? It's Marissa with Barely Keeping It Together, and today I'm going to show you how I made this abstract textural art all by myself for the low cost of $13.
I'm Marissa. I'm a borderline crazy dog mom, a landlord, a DIYer, an interior design obsessed pop culture enthusiast, a real estate entrepreneur, and I'm simultaneously managing a long distance relationship while working full time. I'm the kind of woman who doesn't have the patience to get through this recording. So let's get into it. This is Barely Keeping It Together.
So let's get into it. How did I start making this piece of art for only $13? I'm gonna have to take you back on a little story time. So, as you guys know probably, and if you don't, I live in Chicago. I live in the city, and probably 6 months ago, I was driving home and I was in my back alley because our garage is back there, and the neighbor across the alley had a huge printed frame out to be thrown away. So I guess your girl is scrappy, but I mean, like, theoretically, I sort of dumpster dived for it. I mean, it was out in the alley. I didn't actually get in a dumpster, but for things that you find in the alley, you have to be super careful. You would never want to take something that was like upholstered, like bed bugs, yuck, wood that's rotting, termites, that kind of thing. You definitely have to be super careful with the things that you take from the alley, but I took this from the alley. When I saw it there, I was so excited. I checked it out. It was a little dirty. And I pulled it into my garage, and there it sat for a good 6 months. But I knew that I had a gem of a canvas because this puppy is huge. It is 41 by 41 square canvas, and it's already framed. So honestly, I'm not even sure where it would get such a deal. I can look things up and link them down below for you of how much a canvas this large would cost, but more than free. And your girl paid free. But yeah, so that is how I obtained this canvas, and I knew that I wanted to do abstract art. I love doing DIY abstract art. I think it is beautiful, simple, and unique. But I will say I did have a comment from a subscriber last week saying something along the lines of they did not like DIY abstract art because, one, there is an art to making abstract art, and everyone who just does it on their own doesn't really understand that. And two, they didn't like the way it looked. And I understand that. I totally respect it. But personally, in my opinion, I totally get that there is an art to abstract art, and I'm not an artist. However, I would way rather spend my energy making something that's going to be unique to my home, something that I love and the colors that I like that's going to fit my space, rather than, as I said in my, if you guys watched my McGee & Co video, I'm not about the mass produced art. This cost me $13. The largest print by McGee & Co at the Target collection is $70. It's smaller than this and it's mass produced, so lots of people are gonna have it in their home. Whereas this has texture and no one else is gonna have this. So to me, this is the obvious choice, but to each their own. We're all definitely gonna have different opinions. So, I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. I'm just saying this is why I like abstract art. So anyways, so that's the story of how I got the canvas. And I was very inspired because I have seen a lot of abstract art lately, large scale at HomeGoods, Pottery Barn. A lot of the YouTubers on here have gorgeous pieces. If you look at DIY by KB, Arvin Alano, there's just some really gorgeous abstract art that is a vibe that I have been going for in the aesthetic of the new rooms that I'm designing. So I decided to use my canvas and make something textural, but I wasn't quite sure how to get something as textured as I wanted. So I basically spoke to my family, my friends, they gave me some ideas, and then I went online and I found there is a product called Gesso, and it is what artists use to seal their canvas if they're buying like a blank canvas so that they can paint on top of it. Don't ask me the details. Again, I'm not an artist. I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't come at your girl if that's not what you use Gesso for. But so I bought the gesso because I saw that you can use it to make texture, and it's actually what my mom had suggested. But I knew that the canvas that I had gotten obviously already had art on it, so I needed to make it all white before I did that. So I took this piece out back to my backyard and I spray painted the whole thing white, a couple coats to cover up what was already there, and then I brought it inside to gesso. So what I'm gonna do is I will have you guys take a peek at the before, and then I'm gonna have you check out how I did the spray painting to get it to one all like monochrome piece before I added this texture. After I had the piece all one color, I brought it inside and I set it up and I got out my gesso. And then you're supposed to have like, you know, artist tools that will allow you to texture and whatever. And one, I don't have those, and two, I'm moving. So like a lot of my stuff is packed up. So your girl had to get scrappy yet again. You thought dumpster driving was scrappy? Well, I used an old razor, a pencil, and what else did I use? Oh, like the thing that you fill holes with on your wall. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a little spatula thing. That's what I used to get the texture on here once I got the gesso. So you're gonna see after I finished talking, basically I took my white canvas, I poured gesso all over it, and then I used my different tools to add texture. And I made sure, you're gonna see everything is like very fast forwarded, but you're gonna see I wanted to make sure I got all the little edges, like everything came close to the edges. So I wanted to make it feel like the whole piece was done and I didn't just throw paint in the middle. So yeah, so I spent, you know, probably about a half hour to an hour just gessoing and like making sort of the movements on high, the movements that I wanted to make on the canvas to get this look. So check it out and see how I did it, and then we'll come back and talk about how I did the black edges. Saw how I did that, I want to show you. This is gesso. I got this off of Amazon. I want to say it was $12.99 that I paid for this, and this was the only thing I bought for this project. Everything else I already owned, and you know that I got the canvas for free in the back alley. So unbelievable deal. Probably couldn't recreate this deal again. I wanted to really quickly address why I used gesso instead of spackle or cement or like any other like textural product. Gesso is made for doing art. It is an acrylic based product. It's made to go on canvas. A lot of the DIYs online suggest that you do something like a spackle to create texture. However, that's made to be on drywall, not canvas, so it's gonna crack. And if you're fine with cracking, that's fine. Who am I to judge? But I personally wanted it to sort of not crack. I just wanted it not to crack. So I went with the gesso, and that's why I use that product, but you could use different products as well. Now you could go over and paint this, but for right now, I'm liking the look of the white. We'll see how it looks in my new bedroom, which is also gonna have white walls. Maybe I'll go over and paint it, and then the texture will look even different. I don't know. Your girl changes her mind and she ain't gonna apologize for it. So then I needed to get the edges, which were originally silver. And when I sprayed, I allowed myself to get messy, and that, you know, some of the edges got white, knowing that I was going to paint them. And what I would normally advise would be to do rub and buff, but I also don't have patience. DIY with KB, you feel me? Like, I know you're the same way. So I didn't have patience, and it was like a 5-day delivery on Amazon. And in 2020, a 5-day delivery on Amazon is like a light year. Is that, I don't know if that actually made sense, but in 2020, 5 days on Amazon feels like a long time to wait for something, and I didn't have that kind of patience. So I already had this paint, which is just a satin acrylic paint that I use for a bunch of other projects that you'll probably see displayed throughout my house. But I used this and just a small paintbrush, and I got to town. I painted all the edges. Because this isn't made for doing something like this, it took 3 or 4 coats to really evenly and fully cover the edges. And I may touch it up eventually with a black rub and buff, but I really wanted that black and white look. So that is how I did the edges. I will insert some footage of that. All right, guys, that about wraps it up for what I had today of my DIY canvas art that came out very textural. I was inspired by lots of abstract art that I have seen coming out lately. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys like this, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Have you done DIY art projects? And if so, which ones? Are there some you want me to do and show you? Also, comment down below. Now, don't hesitate to give your girl a subscribe. I am trying to grow this channel, so subscribe here. Thank you. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.